What is going on, everybody? I am back after such a long time from my last video, but I promised you guys that I would put out my coming out video, and I will. Technically, I never came out the closet. I was pushed out of the closet because my mom found out. I'll tell you the story. Okay. Ever since I was little, I always had this thing that I knew it was different. I used to do things that most girls didn't. I hated dresses. I hated doing girl things. I love sports. I would see soap operas, novelas on TV, and I would see the girls and I would be like, wow, she's beautiful. And the guys, I didn't look at them in an attractive way. It was more like I admired them. And pretty much, I just always knew I was different. And like around like the age of like 11, around that age was when I found out that there was a sexuality, like there was an actual definition for what I was. And that's when I started identifying myself as that all by myself. Like, I started identifying myself, I was like, yeah, okay, I guess I am, but I never told anybody. I first told one of my friends in middle school because there was this girl named Damaris, and she felt like she was a guy. She was transgender, I guess, but she hadn't really gone through the whole thing, but she was sort of really in the closet too. We had a lot of fights during 7th grade. It was a very complicated time for me and my friends. A lot of people got mad at each other. Other people started stop going to school. New people joined the group, and it was just a lot of complications. Then the mayor started hanging out with one of my best friends, Kalina, and they told each other, you know, their sexuality. Kalina was bisexual. She still is. And then Damaris told her that she was a lesbian at that time because really she knew she was transgender, but she wasn't ready to come out to that. Then me and Kalina had always been close, and I felt awkward that she stopped hanging out with me and hanging out with Damaris because there was sort of like a small feud between me and Damaris. But Damaris, all she told us was that that Kalina wasn't turning her back on us, that there was just something deeper going on with her that she wasn't ready to talk to us about. And, okay, so, well, I sort of am very hard-headed, and when I want to know something, I just keep trying to figure it out, so I kept insisting and stuff. And then Kalina told us one time, she's like, I'm bisexual, that's why I haven't talked to you guys, because I'm still trying to figure that out. And I was like, oh, it felt good. I didn't tell her straight up, yeah, I'm a lesbian. I didn't. I told her, well, what do you think I am? I kind of came out like that in a very awkward way, and Kalina was very excited. She's like, wow, I'm not the only one and stuff, blah, blah, blah. So then, like, that started, and then turns out, like, 5 out of the 6 girls in our group were bisexual or lesbian. I guess we somehow magnetically attracted to each other and somehow became best friends. So then, like, after that, everybody started coming out the closet, and I eventually just kept on saying that I was bisexual, but then eventually, like, when my mom found out and everything that I moved away, it was a bad thing. I'm gonna tell you how my mom, like I was saying, Shayla, we were best friends before that, and it was a pretty good friendship and stuff. I had a crush on her, like the biggest crush ever. I was so into that girl, and I had messed around with girls before, but I never really told anybody about it. And, well, I always used to do this thing to Shayla where I would take stuff from her purse, because she had this little tiny ass purse that she always carried around, and I always used to take stuff from her, like her lip gloss and stuff, and I would hide it, and then I would just watch her get all frustrated and pissed off because she couldn't find it. And one day I did it, and I found this note in her purse. She had gotten up to go show the teacher her work, and I pulled the note out and I opened it, and I still remember exactly what it said. It said, in her handwriting, it said, oh my god, this can't be happening to me. I can't be bi. Oh my god. And I remember reading that, and I just sat there. No lie, I just sat there, and I was just staring at it, and I freaked out. I was like, holy shit, no way. Like, I actually have a chance with this girl. And I just closed it up really quick, and I put it in her purse, and I pushed the purse away. And I wanted to not say anything. I was going to just not say anything, but I decided to just be hard-headed as I usually am, and I would like, when she sat down, I was like, so I read the note that's in your purse. She was so pissed off. She freaked out. She was like, why are you going through my purse, you asshole? Blah. And I let it go. I'm like, yeah, you know, I am too. I'll have your back no matter what. Like, you can count on me. We left it at that. Then my mind started going crazy and started just asking a bunch of questions to myself. And I'm like, wait, but if she thinks she's bisexual, it's because she's attracted to somebody. There's something that somebody's attracting her. A woman is attracting her for her to realize that she's bi. And I got very nosy since I was into her. I wanted to know if it was somebody else so I could just let it go, you know. Then I believe it was that day after lunch. I went up to her and I was like, okay, so who is it? We had this thing where we had a notebook, me and my friends, that we would write things to each other and pass it around the table because we all sat together in a group. And I had a notebook for just me and her, for me and Shayla. And I wrote her, who is it? And she said, what are you talking about? Who is who? And I was like, well, for you to feel attracted, for you to think that you're bi, you must be attracted to a girl. So who's the girl that has you doubting your sexuality? There has to be somebody. And she's like, oh, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. Eventually she told me, whatever. And then, like, after that, it just all went downhill from there. We started hanging out a lot more, but we never got into something serious because we were both still a bit confused about our sexuality. And basically, we were both each other's first girlfriend. It was very awkward. The first kiss was in the lunchroom, and it was fast. It was quick. When we were getting in line to leave, it was just all that awkward shit that happens. And yeah, pretty much, her mom found out. Shayla's mom found out one day because this guy that was really into her, he was upset because she was dating me and she didn't want to be with him. So he told her aunt. And when Shayla's aunt found out, she told her mom. And her mom was really mad at her. And from what I heard, from what the story went, her mom hit her or something. So Shayla was really upset and she ran away with her best friend Adriana at that time, who just happened to be my little brother's girlfriend. They ran away. They were gone for like all day. At that age, you can't really run away very far. They were just at the mall or something. But it was crazy. It was just a lot of drama. And her family thought that she was hiding in my house. Little did they know, my parents did not know of my sexuality, would never have approved of it. It was really bad. So when Shayla's aunt went to my house to ask for her, I was on the porch with my stepdad. I already knew she was missing. But there was really nothing much I could do. My mom was already on my case. She already imagined I was, but she never really had like the actual like proof about it. So when Shayla's aunt came and she told my stepdad, your daughter and my niece have something going on, it was just bad. My mom freaked out. She didn't hit me, but she started yelling. And you know how Puerto Rican mothers are, very dramatic. Oh my God, forgive me, I know, all that crap. She called all my family in Puerto Rico, told them. It was crazy. It was like if I became a murderer or something, like they just convicted me of a felony or something, and it was just my sexuality, and they freaked out. It was really bad. After that, after they found out, my mom talked to my dad, and she sent me to Puerto Rico to live with him. I don't know how that would help. I guess they thought me being on a different state or somewhere else, my sexuality would change, which kind of didn't help because in Puerto Rico, the uniforms for females are skirts. So if anything, that made me definitely understand my sexuality because I was just checking out girls back and forth. But anyways, pretty much it was bad after that. Pretty bad. My mom completely lost trust in me. She became very controlling. Any female friends I had, she thought that I had something with them. And it was a constant fight. I was always punished because of something. I wasn't allowed to use the phone to talk to anybody. I was basically under house arrest. It was bad because there was always fights. My mom was always forcing me to go to church. My whole family would always have those little comments, oh, you just need to find God, and stuff like that. I felt like I wasn't home. I felt like I was at a stranger's place, and it was a bad feeling. and just talking about it makes me emotional. And eventually I closed up. I stopped hanging out with the people I hung out with. I stopped going to school. When they sent me with my dad, I stopped going to school altogether. I cut class because it was a whole different school. It was a whole different culture for me. PR schools compared to the United States is a lot different. It was really bad. On top of that, my whole family is very religious in Puerto Rico, so they were always trying to force me to go to church and stuff like that, and it was pretty much hell. I would write suicide letters a lot. I would cut myself a lot. I would listen to depressing music. And not just that I had just lost my first love, because that move changed everything. When I left, a lot of rumors started going around. Shayla found out about this guy that I had this thing with, because out of anger, I did something because somebody told me that she had cheated on me with this dude. And I got mad, so I decided to do the same thing back. But then I ended it before she found out, because I didn't want to lose her, so I ended it before she found out. And pretty much the reason why I was dating the guy in the first place was just to try to figure out my sexuality too, because my family kind of was already imagining that I was with her, so I used him as a cover-up. She never knew. And then after the move, the same people that had covered for me when I was with the guy while I was with her, the same people who knew about it from the beginning, they ended up telling her when I left. So I found that a lot of people weren't really my friends at that time. I lost my first love. It was a very depressing moment for me. And I know it was painful for Shayla too, because my brother, Eddie, he would always tell me that she went to the counselors, that she did this, she did that, and it was a hard time for both of us. But anyways, when I was in PR, it was really rough. My whole family was on my case, and eventually I closed up to everybody in my family. I became the black sheep of the family. They always had their comments. They always had those things to say. My dad was more supportive in that sense. He didn't really shun me out. He never turned his back on me, and he understood me more. He didn't approve of it. He sometimes had his things to say about it, but he never judged me, which is why I became more attached to my dad during that time. And then when my mom found out that I was cutting class and stuff, and that my dad wasn't really forcing me to straighten up my life, she took over and she moved to PR with my stepdad and my whole family, and they moved to a different part of Puerto Rico called Utuado. And then she took me to go live with her. Then I joined middle school there, and that's when I met my second love, Adriana. That relationship was a bust. It was really bad. But nothing. It all went down the drain. It was just one of those middle school relationships that sucked. And then after that was when I met my third love, Charlene. With her, things became a bit more serious. It was more serious. I started maturing a lot more with her. I stood my ground. Me and her were 4 years on and off since I was 15. So it was a pretty long relationship. I grew a lot with her. We had heartbreaks. We broke each other's hearts a lot. We made a lot of mistakes. She wasn't ready for something serious, so eventually she wasn't ready for the whole commitment, because she was very attached to her mom, so eventually it all fell apart. But thanks to her, I grew a lot. And thanks to her, I stood up to my mom for the first time, because one of those times that we were broken up, I had a female friend that I hung out with a lot in high school. And my mom, like I said, she always thought I had something with any female, so she was always on my case. And one day I was in my room, she started yelling at me because I had been on the phone and whatnot. And I remember that for the first time ever, I yelled at my mom. I stood up and I told her, I am what I am, whether you like it or not. And if you love me like you say you do, you can either accept me or you can turn your back on me. But I'm not going to change. I love Charlene, and that's something that is just not going to change. No matter what you do, you can hit me all you want. You can force me to go to church all you want. You can keep me from talking to people all you want, but my heart belongs to a woman, to a female, to a girl. You just have to accept that. Accept me as I am. Or if not, when I do grow up, when I am legal to get out of here, you won't see me again. And pretty much after I stood up to my mom that day, I pretty much talked to her and I told her that she has a right to judge me or to punish me or to, not judge me, but she has a right to be controlling about certain things, like if I'm doing drugs. At that age, I was living under her roof. She had a right to yell at me if I was doing drugs, if I was cutting class, if I was failing, if I was doing something wrong, really. But I was not going to allow her to make me feel like less because of who I was. And the moment that I accepted that I stood up for myself, was when everything started changing. That was when things started getting better. I started talking to my Spanish teacher during that time. She was a counselor. She did free counseling sessions, and sometimes she couldn't counsel me because of the rules and everything, since she was my teacher. But sometimes we would have conversations, and I told her about my mom and everything. Turns out her son was gay, and she told me that she would talk to my mom if I wanted it, and I told her that'd be good. So my mom started talking to my teacher during visits and stuff. They would sit, talk for a couple hours, and with that, my mom started opening up her mind more. Things started getting a bit better. I started talking to my mom more with more confidence and stuff. I told her that I wanted to leave the house because I was having a lot of issues with my stepfather and stuff. And he was a very strict person. And he's not a bad guy. He's a really good guy, but he's very strict because he's been through a lot. So he was really controlling, and he didn't want to see me go down a bad path. So he was really strict about me. And I had a lot of tension going on, and I didn't want it to end bad, so I always told my mom that I wanted to go live with my dad. And I had already spoken to my dad, so I told him that I wanted to join Job Corps Academy, where my best friend Leo was at. And when 11th grade came, that I finished 11th grade, my mom had already agreed, and my dad picked me up. I went to go live with him until till I completely got all the paperwork done, and then once the day came that I joined Job Corps, I became independent at the age of 17. I wasn't living with my family members anymore. I was on my own. Job Corps, really all it does is help you grow up, become independent, and I was a resident there. I had my own dorm room. You have everything. You get paid basically for studying. It was really good. I grew up a lot there. I met some of the best friends ever there. Charlene and me were still on and off during that time. We were in a relationship. But while I was in Job Corps was when things ended completely. But we stayed really good friends after that. She helped me grow a lot, and she was a really important person in my life. It pretty much was a rough road for me, because after I became independent was the only time I actually saw peace. And I'm not saying it's going to be like that for everybody, because maybe for some it's easier, maybe for some it's worse, probably, but all I'm saying is it probably won't really make sense. You probably won't really feel good about yourself until you actually accept who you are. Because I was in denial for a long time. Even when I knew I was, even when I was in relationships, I was still trying to please other people. I still did things just to please my family. I still tried to be with a guy who now is my best friend. I still tried to be with him, and it was really bad because I did everything to please other people, and I never once stopped to realize who I was. I never stopped to accept myself. But the day I did, the day I stood up for myself, the day that I told my family that I am what I am, that's not going to change. That day that's when life started making sense to me. And after that, I just built from there. I just want to tell those people out there that are trying to come out of the closet, that are trying to find themselves still, the first step you need to do is not think about pleasing other people. Don't do that. Don't put other people's thoughts, don't put other people's opinions, don't put other people's feelings before your own, because the moment you do that, you start denying who you are. You start maybe putting it off, maybe thinking maybe I can try to be straight, maybe I can, if I just date this guy, maybe it'll change. And it's not like that. It's who you are. It's something inside you that is deeper than anybody will ever understand. Accept yourself before you ever try to make other people accept you. Don't try to please other people. Don't put other people before you, because you're going to destroy yourself little by little. Coming out is all about bravery. You need to be brave enough to realize that the moment that you do, opinions will change about you, for the better or for the worse. You'll lose a lot of people, the same way that you'll gain a lot. You need to be ready for that step. And there's no rush in it, but make sure you're ready before you do. I wasn't ready. I didn't come out the closet. My mom found out. And it was a really painful, complicated time for me. From the age of 13 to 17, 4 years. I was depressed. I barely ate. I completely closed off from my family. It was a really rough time. And if you're not ready for that, do not rush it. It won't be this way for everybody. I know that it won't, but you need to ready yourself before anything. Prepare yourself mentally, accept who you are, love yourself always, and you'll see that with time, things will be better. And if you're going through that I went through right now, believe me, things will be better. Right now, I'm doing great. Might have had a really bad breakup, but as a person, I'm doing great. Everybody knows who I am. I'm proud of who I am. Anybody that I meet, I always, let them know my sexuality beforehand. Are you okay with that? I'm not saying that I go up to them, hi, I'm gay. It's not like that, about my sexuality. I'm really open about my sexuality. And I don't have a reason to hide it anymore. Because I've learned that I don't live to please other people. To be in content with myself. And that's exactly what I'll be. So I hope this video helped out a lot of people. If you guys have any suggestions about what my next video should be about, please let me know. I'm here to please you guys. If you have any other questions about my personal life, you let me know. I didn't catch it before. My name is Diana Miranda Rosario. All my friends call me Teddy. I'm 20 years young right now. My birthday is on the 22nd of December. I will be legal on the 22nd. I can drink alcohol on the 22nd. Yeah, pretty much that's my coming out story. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys loved hearing my crazy dramatic story. I'm sorry that I almost cried. It's just something that I can't help whenever I tell the story. And sorry that my hair looks so horrible, but I'm about to go play handball, so I'm gonna stop talking crap now. Any other questions, any suggestions for my next video, let me know. And peace.